We believe that for the movement to continue, it can't be made. And for that reason, we are suspending campaign operations. This is incredibly difficult because I know that some will think it's an admission of guilt, and it most certainly is not. We're not doing it because of the allegations. We're doing it because of the structures that are being taken away from us by those in power.
Breaking news this morning, Graham PLATNER has dropped out of Maine's U.S. Senate race after facing a sexual assault allegation, which he has repeatedly denied. His exit comes after mounting pressure from top Democratic leaders, and it follows weeks of controversy surrounding his campaign. Now, Maine Democrats have just days to choose a new nominee to challenge Republican incumbent Susan Collins. Right now, the Democratic race in Maine has been turned upside down. We'll keep a close eye on who will be the chosen candidate. Thank you for joining us this morning. Good to see you. I'm Vanessa Broussard. Another huge case we're following today comes out of Korea. A former Trump administration ambassador is being held in South Korea, banned from leaving the country. We have an exclusive interview this morning with Ambassador MORSE. Ambassador Tan, thank you so much for being here today. You are now the target of a criminal investigation, and you have been placed under a government exit ban preventing you from leaving the country. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Sure. So it's really extraordinary because this is based on something I said at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. And for a U.S. citizen to say something and for that to end up resulting in his not being able to go home back to the U.S., um, it's really a strange situation because a U.S. citizen speaking on U.S. soil is protected by the U.S. Constitution. And we have the First Amendment in the Constitution that protects free speech and freedom of expression. And so this is truly a stunning sort of thing, but it's also indicative of the breakdown of the rule of law in South Korea and how you have an anti American regime in place in South Korea as well.
Well, they're saying that you defamed South Korea's president. You deny any wrongdoing. You challenged this travel restriction in court. You were back in court recently. They extended your ban from leaving the country. They want you to stay until the investigation is complete. Um, what was the latest in the latest court appearance that you had? What can you tell us?
Sure. So, Vanessa, if I was a prosecutor and you were to ask me, do I have enough evidence to move forward with the case in regards to the crimes that Lee Jae-myung is said to have committed, I would be able to say, yes, I have enough evidence to move forward with the case. And so that's the nature of it there. And in terms of where things are at, there's been a dangerous escalation because it's moved from the police to the prosecutors. So at this point, anytime they choose, they could choose to seek to arrest me. They could seek to incarcerate me. This is a dangerous escalation that has taken place. When I pointed out in court and I had a chance to speak about how I'm protected by the US Constitution, how a South Korean court should not have jurisdiction here, how this is allowed under international standards through the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Article 19, how it's also protected by the Korean standards at the time the statement was made in terms of it being true or believed to be true and in the public interest. This is wrong on every level in terms of jurisdictionally as well as procedurally as well as substantively. And so this is not the rule of law. This is lawfare, where they are weaponizing uh, so-called law to try to go after it, after me. What's also extraordinary about this would be disturbing enough if this was against any U.S. citizen. But I had the privilege of serving as one of Trump's ambassadors during his first administration. And this is in the context of an alliance that's supposed to exist between South Korea and the United States. And so that's what makes it even more distressing.
It almost feels like you were set up. You made these statements you said in the United States. You traveled to South Korea ahead of the elections there, and now they're telling you that you can't leave. It's almost like they reeled you in and then kept you there. That's what it feels like to me. Do you get that same sense?
Yeah, they're looking for an excuse to do that because I've been speaking out against their injustices. I've been speaking out against their lies. I've been speaking out against the communization of South Korea. I've been speaking out against the rising dictatorship in South Korea. And so this is a way that they're trying to keep me from returning from the United States. I was met as I was leaving the plane by the Seoul Metropolitan Police. They tried to immediately get me to agree to various things, sign various things. I refused to do so. My attorneys were on the other side of baggage claim, and so I deferred it until my attorneys could meet with them and talk with them. But they were following me around, including baggage claim. They were waiting right outside the bathroom when I went to the bathroom. They were flanking me as I was walking out from baggage claim, and so this is lawfare. This is a politicized attempt to go after someone who is trying to help the situation in South Korea, trying to help the constitutional republic to stand for representative democracy, to actually express the will of the people. And this is something that is really a dangerous escalation that has disturbing implications in regards to the Korean American alliance.
Have you heard anything at all from the State Department? Have they responded?
So there are people in the State Department who have spoken with people in the South Korean government. I do know that. I do know that there have been multiple high level people in the State Department who are aware of the situation. And I think there's an attempt to address it. And so while most of what is happening behind the scenes is behind the scenes, I still know snippets enough to know that even at the top of the State Department, they are aware of the situation and are seeking to address it.
Well, that's comforting to know that you're being fought for from your government here in America. But it's a scary situation to know that you go into this country and you can't leave. You have a family at home here in America, and you're stuck there battling this corrupt system. You're also battling the elections there. We covered this extensively here on the morning show, what's going on in South Korea. Again, you were there before their elections. Dr. Frank was there as well on behalf of LINDELLTV. What a disaster that was. Any
Yes.
new updates? Because there were so many protests going on because of what the Koreans feel like was a unjust election, an election that was cheated from right before their eyes. What's new? Any updates there?
Well, Vanessa, what's sad about this is that this has become old in the sense that this has been going on for 24 years in South Korea. And now there is a crushing supermajority in the National Assembly and a president who was not elected by the people. And so the people are calling for the resignation of the president. There are almost 500,000 signatures that are calling for that, and that if he does not resign, that he should be impeached and removed. Now, the leftists had made a big deal when there were 200,000 signatures, and now there are over double that amount And so it's very much of a double standard where you have, on the one hand, the leftists having one set of rules that apply to them and a different set of rules that apply to conservatives here. And so this is the situation in the National Assembly, which most of which I think was not, these are not the people's representatives that they voted on. Now they have such a supermajority that they can change the Constitution at will. They can pass oppressive, repressive laws at will. And if I were to try to think of some kind of rough analogy, imagine if in the US, President Trump was given a life sentence and 3 more sentences on top of that, that all his top leaders, cabinet members, top military leaders were also thrown in jail, and that the 2 neighboring countries, in our case, I guess in the US, it would be Canada and Mexico, had gone communist and were attempting a communist takeover. Meanwhile, radical leftists in the US would be trying to communize the US with a supermajority in Congress, with holding the White House, with a large number of the judges also going in that direction. In essence, you have the collapsing of the government in a communist dictatorship direction. And this is the situation in South Korea. And so the people are fighting and fighting hard. They are showing up and they are protesting day after day, week in, week out. But they are crying out for help from America because their government is collapsing and they don't see any other way out other than being able to get help from the, the country that Koreans, we're talking like 90-ish% of Koreans consider the US to be the most important ally for Korea. And they are really looking and praying for American help, even though they are out there, as you can see, fighting hard and doing what they can in this very difficult situation with the Chinese Communist Party and with North Korean communists poised to really take over the country, to communize it, and to make it like North Korea. And, you know, the CCP thinks they've already won. They think they've already taken over South Korea as they took over Hong Kong. And so South Korea does not want to be Hong Kong number two. Uh, you know, it was very sad that one of the things that happened in the first Trump administration, in the midst of so many good things that happened, is that we failed to keep Hong Kong from collapsing into the grasp of the Chinese Communist Party. And the pattern is the same. The tactics are the same. The strategy is the same. And South Koreans are gasping for air right now because they see that they are potentially on the verge of becoming the next Hong Kong or the next Venezuela.
It's hard to watch, Ambassador. It's hard to read the emails that I receive since I've been covering the election controversy there in the country. So many of the Koreans are emailing me, writing me, asking for help from America. I want to show you one and then get your reaction. This viewer email came in. It says, Miss Vanessa, my country, South Korea, has been occupied by radical Democrats for 2 years. They are trying to oppress freedom of speech, press, and religion. Ambassador, what's your reaction to this email?
You know, the writer is exactly right. There is tremendous oppression and repression going on. These basic rights and freedom are almost completely destroyed. The laws that are being passed are destroying them. And so uh, when you read Democrats, though, think more like extreme socialists slash communists. That would give you a better sense of who they're talking about. And there's been a lot of, it seems, elite capture inside of South Korea by the CCP. The agents and spies and operatives of the Chinese Communist Party and North Korea are running wild, while this regime in South Korea has eliminated counterintelligence, where they have decided to give batons instead of guns to those guarding the border with North Korea. And there was a law that was just operationalized very recently that if there is anything said against Lee Jae-myung, the fake illegitimate president, this could be considered hate speech and people can be prosecuted. And they are also going after US companies. Coupang has been in the crosshairs, Starbucks has been in the crosshairs. They are also trying to change history and create their own narrative. And if anyone doesn't agree with that, then they are subject to prosecution as well. And so these prosecutions are happening. All sorts of important leaders in Korea have been prosecuted, have been thrown in jail. This is going on. And so the situation is very serious. And we are in genuine jeopardy of losing our key ally in the region, South Korea, to communist forces.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and it's very scary. But I see a lot of similarities in what you're talking about going on in South Korea. You gave an analogy about America, and there's a lot of similarities to what you were saying in your analogy to what we're actually seeing here in the country. And we say it all the time. We cannot let communists come into our country. We cannot let a communist in office here in America. And we're just knocking on the door of communism right here in our own land, Ambassador. So we're seeing what's
Yeah.
going on in South Korea. I hope people wake up in America, because this could be us.
And, thank God for President Trump, who is so against communism. He believes he's been prepared his whole life to fight communists. And whether in the United States, whether in the Western Hemisphere, whether the Chinese Communist Party, whether it's North Korea, this president is one who sees that mission before him very clearly. And I'm very thankful for that. We have a Secretary of State whose family came from communist Cuba, and his family knows what it was like to live under a communist system. And so he understands that contrast, and he is fighting against that as well. And so I'm very grateful that we have Secretary Rubio as our Secretary of State. And so this administration is doing a fabulous job. What the US has done with respect to Venezuela, Cuba, what's going on in Cuba, what's going on in Iran, these are all very important things. And as the focus potentially shifts to Northeast Asia, given that the CCP is the biggest enemy of the United States, and the CCP has its tentacles all over the world, but the front line of the battle is Taiwan and the Korean Peninsula. And so I expect at some point the Trump administration's focus will be more directly on what the CCP is doing in its own region. And when that day happens, I would look forward to um, the Korean Peninsula being addressed in such a way such that South Korea is kept from being devoured by the communists. And if anything, if things could go the opposite direction and there could be a reunification of the peninsula under a constitutional republic, in a representative democracy, and a system that is against communism and is the system that has brought the most prosperity around the world, a free market system. If that can happen across the Korean Peninsula, that would be fantastic. There is opportunity even in the midst of crisis.
And what comes next for you? I know that you just recently, we talked about having a court case recently. They extended uh, your stay there, I guess you could say. And now, I mean, the fight continues. Is there another court case coming up for you? Do you just sit around and wait? Like, what's the days ahead look like for you?
Yeah, the prosecutors are demanding to interrogate me. My attorneys up to now have been resisting that. And I think the best way for me to be able to come home is for the US government to communicate with the South Korean government in no uncertain terms that our government will not allow one of Trump's former ambassadors to be, in essence, be held hostage here in South Korea and to be subjected to a lawfare case that is seeking to keep my voice from being heard by the Korean people and the American government and people, um, when what I'm trying to do is trying to strengthen the alliance, trying to fight against the incursions of communism, trying to fight for election integrity. These are the things I'm doing. I'm standing for the things that America stands for. And this is what I believe I'm called to do. And yet I could potentially be, they could potentially make a warrant for my arrest. They could potentially throw me into um, a cockroach-infested prison that would barely be able to even fit my frame in it. And, I heard about the prison experience of Pastor Sun, who I advocated for in the US for his release. Thankfully, Vice President Vance went to the Prime Minister of Korea and demanded the release of Pastor Sun. He was released. I just had the opportunity to go to his church and to speak with him yesterday. But he described to me the prison conditions. And so I am describing to you the prison condition that he experienced: moldy toilet, barely enough sustenance. It's more liquid than anything solid in terms of the food. This is what Pastor Sun was subjected to. This is what other Korean leaders and ordinary citizens are being subjected to. And this is potentially the threat of what they would seek to do to me as well. The US government can demand otherwise. And if that happens, I think the South Korean government would not heed that to its own peril.
Well, we're rooting for you, Ambassador. Another reason we brought you on today is to get the word out and spread the word to free you from South Korea. You've done a wonderful job, the fight in the first administration all the way to now, and continuing to be a voice for the South Korean people, also the people of the United States. We appreciate you. We're rooting for you. And if there's any updates, please let us know. We'll continue to get the word out for you.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. I appreciate it a lot. And it would be great if the American people and our government are able to rise up together with our key ally, South Korea, the people of South Korea, who really love the United States and are really looking to the U.S. They've been faithful allies and partners of the United States over the years, and I would only want that key alliance to be strengthened and to grow deeper as we move forward.
Absolutely. We'll join hands and fight together. Ambassador MORSE, thank you so much for being here with us today. Again, we're rooting for you, and we'll keep everyone updated on your situation there.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
The United States is launching a second major wave of strikes against Iran, with roughly 90 military sites targeted. The strikes followed earlier U.S. operations this week after attacks on commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump says the ceasefire is over.
So when you say not a success, it's a tremendous success. The fake news likes to say how well they're doing. They're doing terribly. They have 350% inflation. When the war started, they had like 6%, 5%. They want to make a deal, but they don't know how to make a deal, and then they go around shooting ships at night. I don't like that. You know, they're dealing with very fine people. They're dealing with Steve Witkoff. They're dealing with Jared Kushner and J.D. Vance, and they're dealing with Marco and Scott. They're dealing with great people, but I don't know. I think they're a little loco. They're a little crazy. But they told us they'd like to go to the funeral of a person who was killed a lot of people. Khomeini killed a lot of people over the years, and there for a long time. Don't forget, what we did should have been done 47 years ago. It could have been done any time within 40. This has gone on for, they were the bully of the Middle East. So they're a much different country. Now, in one day, all of their anti-aircraft things are gone. That doesn't mean they're not going to get a plane at some point, but all of it's gone. Everything's gone. Their leaders are gone. They had leaders, they're gone, and they had another set of leaders, they're gone. Now they have another set of leaders, they may be gone. Who knows? And you know what? I may be gone too, because I'm their number one target. It's out all over the place. I'm their number one because they're scum. That's the way they act, and that's the way they've done it for 47 years. But I'm doing what's right for the country. I'm doing really what's right for the world. They have to be stopped. And they've killed thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. They killed 52,000 protesters over the last 3 months. So when you say we're not doing well, I think we're doing phenomenally well. Our military has been incredible. Plus, we had a blockade. Did we have a blockade? Did you ever see a blockade work that way? You know, for you that said we're not doing well.
What changed, and do you think
I got to know them. So I've said that about a lot. Now, when you say rational, I think they're much more rational than level 1, level 2. Level 1 is gone, level 2 is gone. This is level 3. I think they are more rational, but based on their actions over the last week or two, they're not doing a service to the people. And I think more than anything else is I got to know them. And I'm not sure I want to make a deal with them. We can play games, but I'm not sure I want to make a deal. I just finished the job.
U.S. Central Command says more than 20 U.S. Navy warships are patrolling waters across the Middle East, promoting regional security and stability. The Strait of Hormuz remains a major concern. President Trump says Iran called, wanting to make a deal after the latest strikes. Again, he says these people just can't be negotiated with. In Texas, a hospital is now under state investigation after billboards like this went up promoting birth packages to foreign nationals, raising new concerns over birth tourism and birthright citizenship. The billboards were put up just miles from the southern border. Governor Greg Abbott has directed the Texas Health and Human Services Commission to investigate Mission Regional Medical Center in the Rio Grande Valley. President Trump also chiming in. He posted this saying, signs and billboards are being put up all over our southern border and Mexico, advertising birthright citizenship with delivery starting at $4,000. Likewise, similar signs going up all over our country. Billions of dollars will be illegally made by this scam, with citizenship going to anyone willing to pay. It will be, by far, the #1 way of becoming a citizen, and then the entire family will be allowed to follow. Not sustainable, he says. Nobody saw this coming. American citizenship is not for sale. In fact, he says that's a crime. And therefore, the Supreme Court's ruling is wrong. I will be asking for a rehearing by the United States Supreme Court immediately. This miscarriage of justice will destroy America if they don't change their absolutely insane decision. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So we want you to join the conversation this morning. Tell us what you think. Our question of the day, should hospitals be allowed to advertise maternity packages to foreign nationals? Again, these billboards going up right at the border, inviting foreigners to come in and have their babies. Let us know your thoughts if you're watching online. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And when we come back, mainstream media versus independent journalism. We'll talk about that. But first, as the Tyler Robinson hearing continues in a Utah courtroom, Turning Point USA put together a beautiful video of Charlie Kirk as we remember him today and always. Here's the video as we go to break.
13 years ago, I was in a car driving to Rockford, Illinois, and this journey started. It was June 5th, 2012. I was wrestling on kind of what we're going to call this organization, and my dad came up with a list of names, and all of a sudden he said, Turning Point. I said, that's the one. Spoke at a Tea Party rally out in Rockford, and the journey started. No money, no connections, and no idea what I was doing. Started to barnstorm Illinois and in the Midwest, speaking at every possible Tea Party rally I could. That was the garage that we literally started in Lamont, Illinois. I had burning desire. Looking back at it, I wanted to grow this thing more than anything imaginable. I poured every part of my being into this. And now we are 13 years old. We are a teenager defying all the odds, and only made possible thanks to God Almighty blessing us every step of the way.
He was 18, no money, no map, only a call from God.
My political journey was in the midst of the Obama craze in Chicago. As someone who was generally conservative, I realized this generation, millennials, is going to be the most progressive generation in history if we don't do something about this.
We're active in about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just a flash in the pan movement. We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard.
I was 18, no idea what I was doing, no connections, no money, unlimited energy, enthusiasm, and I actually thought this was possible, which was kind of crazy if you think about it.
Bill was one of the first people to believe in us at Turning Point USA and believe in me. After he heard me speak, he said, "You can't go to college." I said, "Who are you exactly?" He said, "Whatever you're doing, it's going to be bigger." He said, "You're going to start a youth organization that's going to catch the whole world on fire."
Only in America can a young man with a dream change the world.
So starting in that garage in Lamont, Illinois that Bill had for us at 217.5 Illinois Street and growing from that forward was a battle. So the first year, you raised $20,000, which at the time was an unbelievable amount of money, right? We didn't have an office, we didn't have a staff. It was just me just traveling the country doing this, pure grit, pure energy. And I was driven by core ideas and core principles that we should be thankful, not angry, to live in this country. Would you agree? We should be thankful. We should be kissing the ground and saying we are the luckiest human beings ever to exist, that we are able to live in this country. At this time, America is the greatest country ever to exist, period, bar none, is the greatest country ever to exist, right?
He loved debate because he loved the truth, and the people on the other side of the table because they all were made in God's image.
So I go to college campuses and there's a lot of error. We're all sinners. We are all live in error. We as Christians are called to go into the public arena to correct error with truth. I'm far more interested in what God wants of me than what I want from God.
I have the greatest job in the world. I couldn't be happier. Every day I feel as if what I'm saying, what I'm doing is making a difference. To be perfectly honest, I love the debate. I love the exploration of ideas. I think dialogue is a gift given to us by God. Prove me wrong. I have no notes. I have no AI. I have nothing. Tell me why you're correct. For 3 hours, I will sit there and everyone will watch. It's a gladiatorial match for the best ideas of the West.
But sometimes the difficult road is the way that you should configure your life. For every single one of you, there are a couple thousand students that wish they could speak out like you do. And courage is a choice. It takes no skill to be courageous. You might come up to the microphone and say, "Charlie, I don't know my talent. I don't know my skill." The cool thing about being courageous is you just have to say, "I choose to be courageous." You are doing something that is bigger than you.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater, and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit SentryH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase. Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control. Well, hello, everyone. Well, I'm turning 65, and let me tell you, Medicare has me confused. All the junk mail and the robocalls and everything else, it honestly feels like they rigged the system just to confuse us. Well, that's why I partnered and working with Chapter. They're independent, and they don't work for big insurance. They work for us. In fact, they're the only advisor that compares every single plan nationwide to find what actually fits your needs. If you're on the right plan, they tell you. If you're not, they're going to help you switch. And it's completely free. Just last year, seniors saved about $1,100 by finding a better plan with Chapter. So call Chapter at 234-LINDELL or go to askchapter.org/Lindell.
Welcome back to My Mornings. Mainstream media versus independent journalism. Fake news versus truth-seeking. Times are changing in the way of how people get their news. Here's our Kara Castronova with Laura Logan.
Hey everybody, Kara Castronova with LINDELLTV here with the beautiful Lara Logan, the greatest journalist, investigative journalist in my opinion of all time. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Kara. You're very sweet.
Beautiful. And we're here in Washington, D.C. You were here for an event speaking about new media, the America Freedom 250 event for the birthday of the United States. Tell me what you were here for.
Well, I came to host a panel on independent media for America's future, and then I also did another panel on child sex trafficking and different aspects of that, grooming laws and rape gangs and all the rest of it. And, you know, I have to say it's a great and pleasant surprise to see how alive Washington, D.C. is for the 250th, because the fake news media doesn't want anyone to know that the vast majority of Americans are celebrating. So really what I was hosting the panel about with independent media, looking at the rise of independent media, it's helped to break the information dominance of one ideology. But I think we're still a long way from where we need to be. And I'm worried about the drain of money from media, because independent media, most independent journalists are struggling just to survive. And we don't have bureaus, and we don't have beats, and we don't have international coverage. We don't have all the things that we really need. So hopefully there'll be some consolidation and people work together and help each other. But I worry also about the lack of mentors. You know, I learned my craft from great journalists that came before me. And I really think that young journalists coming up, or new journalists coming up, people changing careers and going into journalism, there isn't anything really to guide them. And so those are the things, just as a professional, those are the things that concern me.
I know you've always been interested in sort of starting an organization for independent journalists.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
I'm still working on that. An alliance of independent media. Yeah.
So, and also, we're here in D.C. During a very pivotal time, I guess, with the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were here a few days ago when they dropped these big decisions. What are your thoughts? I know the birthright one is sort of one that people go back and forth on.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the right decision or no?
Well, so as a journalist, I am less about what was the right decision and wrong decision as looking into why did they make that decision and what led up to it. And I learned something kind of interesting from someone. Yes, that what they do is they release a bunch of decisions that are not as seismic,
Right.
and they make you think the court is going one way so that they can lay cover for when they drop the bomb. And the birthright citizenship was the bomb, right? Because if anybody can bring foreign people to this country, just have them born and utilize that as and exploit it as a human resource to overthrow the government, we have a massive problem. And so this is really, for me, a moment of choice. You know, I think Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts have consistently made decisions that betray the American people and don't reflect who you're going to shove this microphone right up my nose. It's okay. But I think they've made decisions that betray the American people and also betray who they claim to be. So I don't believe them. I don't know if there's something that someone has on them or, you know, why they make these decisions, but I think they're extremely disappointing. If it weren't for Clarence Thomas and Alito, I think a lot of Americans would have given up hope.
I think Alito is scheduled to retire this term. So before President Trump is out, so he might be picking a new justice. What would you say as journalists we could do to investigate, I guess, the next one in and sort of put that stuff out there before somebody else like Amy Coney Barrett, who, by the way, sided against the J6ers. It was actually Jackson who sided with them.
Catastrophic. Amy Coney Barrett has been catastrophic for the January 6s and for truth and justice in the United States. So, you know, I'm just a journalist. So I don't try to anticipate really what the president is going to do other than sort of, you know, being analytical about what we're looking at. But the judiciary is a massive problem, you know, from the lower courts all the way up to the top. And if you can capture the court, we're in real trouble. So this is a very, very, very important decision. Whatever it is, it needs to be, you know, vociferously investigated and exhaustively reported on.
I would love to get your opinion on this one because the transgender in sports one went the right way. And even two liberal justices actually said that Title IX doesn't protect biological men, which I was surprised by. So that was good.
That's when they give you something because they're going to take something bigger away. Do you see what I mean?
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. Those are the kind of decisions that come down that surprise everybody. They're actually the common sense decisions according to the law. But the Supreme Court has demonstrated that they're not impervious to public pressure. And typically, that is not public pressure from the right. They don't typically care about that as much as they appear to care. But now, of course, some people would dispute that and say, oh, that's not true. But you just have to look at their decisions. So, yes, was that encouraging? Sure, it was encouraging and it was a relief. But that was because they were paving the way to get away with the catastrophic decision on birthright citizenship.
There was a decision no one really paid attention to because it got overshadowed, but it was the geofencing decision. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised, actually. I thought Alito and Clarence Thomas would be on the side of more privacy, but they actually were on the opposite end of it. It was Gorsuch. No, I think it was just Thomas and Gorsuch, maybe Alito. It was three of them. It's the three most conservative. They are saying that these geofence warrants are fine. Well, the rest of the court said that there needs to be more protections when it comes to geofencing. Were you surprised?
Well, to me, I mean, I hate to say this, but it strikes me that they don't really understand where this is going. You know, a lot of people can recognize the technology and they can say, oh, well, I know that technology invades my privacy, but oh, well, what can you do kind of thing. And they don't think about that. They think of that as the end state. And when you talk about the end state, they look at you like you're crazy. Like, what do you mean? And so I find it very disappointing that people don't put a little more time and effort into thinking, you know, about where this goes, right? It's just like informed consent. If you take informed consent away for one thing, why do you think it will hold for everything else? Why do you think it will still protect you? You can't, principles just become bumper stickers if you don't stand up for them when it really counts. And so, it strikes me, I'm not sure, I don't want to speak for the justices, obviously I don't know what's in their heads, but it just strikes me the only way that anyone can really make a decision like that is to not truly understand where this is heading.
Right. Because I guess historically, the most conservative justices have sort of sided, I'm not going to say with the police state, but more with police protection and government protection in this sense, like geofencing, warrants to be able to get criminals.
Probably look at it as law enforcement,
Right,
as
and
another
a
tool of law
to
enforcement
get
and important to
criminals.
law and order, without understanding really the extent to which it can
Because January
obliterate our
6th was one
privacy.
big geofence warrant. That's
Yeah.
what it was. So
Well, illegally.
illegal. Now they're saying that was unconstitutional according to the court, that entire
I don't
geofence.
understand how warrantless surveillance in any form can be constitutional.
Right,
So,
it is
yeah.
what it is. So you win some and you lose some. But thank you so much. I know you have to get going. We're at this beautiful dinner here. You spoke beautifully at the event. And how could people follow you? I'm sure most of our
My
viewers
show
do.
is Going Rogue with Lara Logan. You can find it anywhere on all platforms. Just search Going Rogue with Lara Logan or at Lara Logan on X.
Yes, you are rogue in a great way. Thank you so much, Lara.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, an H-1B federal crackdown. Vice President J.D. Vance with details on the fraud being found. That's next.
When you read one news source, you get one side. When you read two sources, you get an argument. Read 40 sources, and you get the truth. LindellReport.com, the only place you ever need to visit for your news. From LindellTV, over 40 trusted outlets in one place. No editorial gatekeepers, no hidden bias. Just the day's news. Balanced, unfiltered, ready when you are. Whether you lean left, right, or straight down the middle, this is where you start your day. One click, one feed, one truth. The decision is yours. LindellReport.com. The news you need, the balance you deserve.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LINDELLTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LINDELLTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Thanks for being here with us this morning. Let's take a look at Wall Street's opening bell numbers, a live look from MarketWatch.com. Taking a look at the big board here, the Dow, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, all in the green right now. We saw the Dow flip just a little bit, but it flipped back green, so good news there. It was a rocky Wednesday, fueled by renewed Middle East tensions. Wall Street looking for a steady start today. Investors continue to watch Iran, rising oil prices, and expectations for future Federal Reserve policy. So that's a look at the big board at this hour from MarketWatch.com. Now to your news to go as you start your day. Here's a look at other headlines we're following today. The Trump administration is launching a major crackdown on alleged fraud involving H-1B work visas and employment-based green cards. Dozens of subpoenas have already been issued, and the feds are finding fraudulent applications and kickback schemes. Here's more from J.D. Vance.
Now, I want to talk about another fraud crackdown, and this is almost hard to believe. But, you know, we have a program called the H-1B visa program. This goes to show how broad-based the fraud task force is. We're fighting for your taxpayer money, but we're also making sure that fraudsters don't take advantage of these visa programs. Now, why does this program exist? This is a visa program that was set up to ensure that if you were a brilliant technology person or a brilliant scientist or a brilliant doctor, you could come to the United States and get access to this visa program. But you know what's happening way too much? Is that big corporations and fraudsters overseas are using this program to undercut the wages of American workers. So you know what we're doing in the Trump administration? We're saying no more. If you were trying to take advantage of that visa program, you are not allowed in to the United States of America. Today, I'm proud to announce that the Federal Department of Labor has started dozens of subpoenas and investigations into foreign fraudsters who are trying to take advantage of the H-1B visa program. Here's a simple principle. Ladies and gentlemen, American jobs ought to go to American workers and not foreign fraudsters, and the Department of Labor is fighting back against it.
Vance says so far, $25 billion in taxpayer money has been saved. Again, that's so far, with more to come. Here's the president's schedule for today. He is back at the White House after a couple of days in Turkey for the NATO summit. At 8 o'clock this morning, he held an executive meeting. At 1 p.m., he will have his intelligence briefing. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, he will participate in signing time. Then at 4 and 5 this afternoon, he will hold policy meetings. For more news headlines, visit LINDELLTV.com. As you know, you can also download the LINDELLTV app on your phones and also on your tablets. Now back to our question of the day. We asked you earlier in the show, should hospitals be allowed to advertise maternity packages to foreign nationals? Here's what you are saying. One viewer wrote in saying, that is the wrong one, but that's okay. One viewer says that 4.2% of you say, yes, I hope they are deported. And looking at my X poll, a whopping percentage of you, 95% say no, they should not be allowed to advertise maternity packages. Again, this is one of our top stories today. Chime in, join the conversation. You can follow me on X, Vanessa B News. And we're also going to be looking at those questions of the day every day here on My Morning. So make sure you're following me. I also want to see your messages, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's bring that one back up. That's the one I wanted to show you. We'll start with this one because I love all of my viewer emails and messages. Again, no matter if they're good or bad. This one's from Brian. He says, once a man transitions into a woman, she is officially a biological woman. That's just biology. Therefore, are allowed to compete in women's sports. Well, I appreciate your comment, Brian. Thank you so much for that. But men are born with XY chromosomes. As you know, women are born with XX chromosomes, and that can't be changed. You can change your body parts, but you can't change your chromosomes. So, Brian, that's just biology. Send me an email or message. Again, I'd love to hear from all of you. And we leave you today in prayer from the book of Psalms. The Bible says this, trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and cultivate faithfulness. So make sure you go out and spread a lot of love today and live by the word of the Lord. And that'll do it for us here this morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you all same time, same place tomorrow. And we leave you today with sights from the heartland of America. Have a great day, everyone.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
You know, most people think water's just about filtration, but in reality, it's about balance. What gets removed, what gets left behind, and how the water actually behaves once you drink it. Well, many traditional systems focus on one thing, removal. Reverse osmosis, for example, strips water down completely. It may sound ideal, but it removes minerals that our bodies need. The Century Wellness System was designed with a different philosophy. It removes common contaminants like chlorine, fluoride, and PFAS while restoring key minerals like magnesium and improving alkalinity. It also does all this without tanks and without wastewater, and without requiring a complicated installation. It installs in about 15 minutes under your sink, so instead of overcorrecting, it brings your water back into balance. Please visit CenturyH2O.com and use promo code Lindell for 10% off your next purchase. Mike Lindell here. The radical left and the deep state aren't just coming for our freedoms, they're coming after our money too. For years, they've been destroying our economy from the inside out with reckless spending, open borders, woke policies that crush our businesses. And now they've left us with an inflation disaster that's wiping out the savings of our hardworking families. They don't want us to be independent. They want us to be dependent on the government. Well, that's not going to happen on my watch. That's why I partner with American Independence Gold. It's a veteran-owned company that's helping patriotic Americans fight back by protecting our savings with real physical gold and silver. And right now, they're giving away up to $15,000 in free silver and a free gold IRA kit. A portion of all the profits go to 9/11 first responders and veterans at the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. The deep state can't touch your gold, so visit MikeLindellGold.com or call 844-714-4653 right now. That's MikeLindellGold.com. Take back control. Well, hello, everyone. Well, I'm turning 65, and let me tell you, Medicare has me confused. All the junk mail and the robocalls and everything else, it honestly feels like they rigged the system just to confuse us. Well, that's why I partnered and working with Chapter. They're independent, and they don't work for big insurance. They work for us. In fact, they're the only advisor that compares every single plan nationwide to find what actually fits your needs. If you're on the right plan, they tell you. If you're not, they're going to help you switch. And it's completely free. Just last year, seniors saved about $1,100 by finding a better plan with Chapter. So call Chapter at 234-LINDELL or go to askchapter.org/Lindell. And like everybody else out there, I have used my arm, folded my pillows, got migraines in the morning from sleeping on poor pillows, and pillows are the problem. There is no bigger problem than a pillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs.